All right, welcome to a brand new edition of the Big Blue Report featuring that guy, the two-time Super Bowl champion, former defensive captain of the New York Giants legend. And check out that fresh cut. That's Jonathan Casillas over there. And of course, joining us always, the professor, the man, the myth, the legend himself. That's Ryan Darlington. And my name is Randy Zellea from backsportspage.com. And I'm surprised we're not wearing our "Hello, my name is" little tags. It's so long since we've seen each other. We almost didn't recognize each other on the screen. Boys, we are now into mandatory mini camp. It's been a long time since we spoke. We have not spoken since before the draft. A couple things have happened.
A few.
Little things during free agency. Drafting. Thought we were going to get a quarterback. Instead, we picked a wide receiver. Signed a couple good offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Got rid of a running back. A couple of different things happened. A couple things here and there. Start off by saying it the right way, JC. Good to see you, my friend.
What's going on, man?
What is up? Guys, Giants football training camp is right around the corner. And lots to dive into. So let's backtrack a little bit. Let's talk about the draft. The Giants decided not to go quarterback. They decided to go wide receiver. I ask you both, if Drake May would have fallen down, would this be a totally different type of conversation?
I have my answer, but go ahead, JC. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I think they might have had their eye on Neighbors probably the entire time, to be honest. I don't know if they thought that Drake May would be there, and they did like a little half-hearted attempt, I guess, the day of the draft. Maybe that was just to get, some feelers, out there to see what it was like. But I don't know, man. I think Neighbors is going to be a huge part of what the Giants are going to do. I don't know if they had a quarterback in mind that they thought would be there at 6, and I think in order for them to grab one of those guys, a Drake May or whatever, I think it would have been too much that they had to give up, too much that the Giants had to sacrifice to move up even a couple of spots to get a Drake May. And we was at number 4 overall.
Number three.
Right. The Giants, I think, would have had to give up a little bit too much to move up to get that guy. And I know you said if he fell to them, but I don't know. I don't know if they had Drake May rated higher than Neighbors, so I'm not sure. I like the competition at the quarterback position. I've seen a couple of practices during this OTAs. I was at minicamp the other day, and look, Tommy DeVito, man, that kid, he brought hope to the Giants last year when there was no hope to be had. And he won some games. I think he played extremely well. No one's giving him any credit this offseason. No one's talking about Tommy Cutlets. And I think he's going to put some respect on my name. And I think Daniel Jones is healthy enough to start training camp. I know they're holding him out for all of mini camp. But it's Daniel Jones's show. And I think Tommy DeVito is going to be the backup when the season starts.
Oh, that's a bold statement, my friend. That's a $5 million third quarterback you've got sitting on the bench there. But I guess if that's the way the cookie crumbles, that's the way it is. I mean, one of the things that Shane and Daboll have always said is that if you don't play up to your contract, we don't give a shit about your contract. You're going to ride the pine, a la Galladay, a la so many other guys. If they just don't put up, then it's time to go. But I mean, I think, Randy, to your question about the Drake May, if he fell, first of all, quite frankly, I don't think there was any way that he was going to fall, right? There was no way he was going to make it to 6. There were going to be enough people that needed quarterbacks that were going to trade up to snatch him if they didn't do it at number 3 with the Patriots. I also think, JC, to your point, the asking price was far too high. They wanted 3 first-round picks. And that's just, we've seen what can happen if you mortgage your future, the future of your franchise on a quarterback, and you take that swing and you miss, right? There's massive issues with that. So even if they had the opportunity, I think they might have taken him if they had that opportunity, if it was going to be in their wheelhouse from a pricing perspective. But I would have been pretty pissed off at him. quite frankly. I think they did make the right call with bringing in Neighbors, especially with the amount of confidence that they have in Daniel Jones, knowing what he can do when you put the right kind of talent around him.
And I want to throw something else out here too. If you look up the makeup of this team, what does this team remind you of? Right now, this offense. This reminds me of a Buffalo Bills offense that we've seen over the last couple of years, where Josh Allen has been the primary weapon, and the running back position has been done by committee with having solid receivers. That's what we're starting to see now with this New York Giants team. Look, again, we've said this so many times on this show, and I have to repeat it one more time. Joe Shane and Brian Dable didn't owe Saquon Barkley or Daniel Jones anything, because they're not their guys. They're Dave Gettleman's guys who they inherited. And by having a winning season in 2022 and winning a playoff game, Daniel Jones got another opportunity. Saquon Barkley got the franchise tag and a little bit more. When it comes out to giving out money now, they're going to be very careful. Like JC, right before we went on the air, Ryan and I were talking. God forbid if Daniel stays healthy all year, but he doesn't have a great season, they can still cut ties with him. He can still they can just still say, listen, nothing personal. Here's the door. We're going to go out and find our guy now. We played this game so many times. We gave you if the offensive line plays well. There's a lot more what ifs.
Yeah.
There's a lot more what ifs this season than there has been than the last 3 seasons for this team.
Yeah, and look, Daniel Jones forced the Giants' hand. We spoke about this before. You couldn't not pay him after what he did for you back in 2022.
Yeah.
His stats didn't jump off the page in terms of numbers, but his efficiency was there. He did very well on third down, and I say he as in he was the leader of the Giants' offense. The Giants' offense in 2022 was ranked very high on third down and very high in the red zone. Those are 2 statistical categories, and you throw turnovers in there, which is the number 1 category that predict wins or losses. The Giants were plus whatever they were that year, and it was because of Daniel Jones' efficiency, the way he used his legs, his decision-making. And I felt like that was, a possible, a predictor of what it could look like. And in 2023, week 1, 40-0.
The wheels fell off.
Immediately, Ryan. Yeah. Immediately the wheels fell off. But I think it proved that the Giants were right in how they structured Daniel Jones' contract. Daniel Jones, the way he played, forced their hand, but they did it to where they can get out after 2 years, and it's all on Daniel Jones this year. Literally, like the Giants will win games because of Daniel Jones, and the Giants will not have a winning season because of Daniel Jones. And however that looks, whether he's playing or he's not playing, if he's healthy or he's not healthy, it's going to rely a lot on Daniel Jones. And now bringing in Drew Lock, I feel like was a solid move in offseason. Maybe not the best move at the quarterback position to get somebody in to secure that backup spot. But like I said, man, Tommy DeVito, no one gave him credit, this year. Of course, he was the rave last year. He was the spark that the Giants drastically needed last year. And, he's a backup. And what he proved to me last year is that he can play in the NFL. That's what he proved to me last year. He showed that to everyone in front of everybody's eyes, a guy that, was undrafted, a guy that was overlooked. And like I watched him this time last year, guys, he couldn't even complete the ball on 7-on-7. And that same guy ended up playing games. He basically beat Green Bay. Not say by himself, but he did enough in that game to beat a very talented playoff team in the Green Bay Packers. So I like what they're doing at quarterback, because you did pay a guy who you thought could be the future of your franchise, and now he has a year to make it or break it. This is the year for Daniel Jones. We're going to see what he's truly about. If he bounced back off this ACL injury, if he's, recovered fully from the neck injuries that has happened several times now, and we're going to see what it's all about. It's really in the hands of Daniel Jones. He has that star receiver. He has a deep threat in Jalen Hyatt. He has a Wan'Dale Robinson who can do everything. He has a stable of backs. I think they're going to be very reliable. We have to figure out the tight end position. We have to have a guy step up, Evan Neal on offensive line, to give him some protection, of course. It's not just on him, but this is huge for him. This is literally a career year for Daniel Jones.
Absolutely. We're putting the talent around him for the first time in a way that we haven't been able to do in the past. And you're in a position where, okay, now you can't say you don't have a number one receiver. Now you can't say that you don't have, a decent line. Any line that we put out there this year is going to be better than the line that we put out there last year, right? I mean, you're starting from zero. So it's going to be a better line no matter what. How much better is yet to be seen. But you're putting in a position to say, we have done everything that we can do to put talent around you. So we're not in a position that we were in 3 years ago when even Mara said, we've done everything we can to mess this guy up. We're now in a position, okay, you've got your receiving core. Bellinger, I think, is a serviceable tight end. I think Theo Johnson is going to be a pretty good pass-catching tight end. I think we do have some people in place there. Hopefully, I'm knocking on wood as I say it. Hopefully, Slayton is okay, is not hurt, and is able to do his thing. But I mean, if you're thinking about the top receiver that we had last year being maybe third on our depth chart this year, you know what I mean? Behind somebody like a Jalen Hyatt, behind somebody like a Wandale, that's a solid receiving core. You have the resources now. The defense is going to be able to hold you in games, right? I mean, we're not going to blitz as much as with. Can you tell it's my first time back for a while? You're not going to be blitzing as much, right, with Shane Bowen's defense. They're going to hold you in games, and he's going to have an opportunity to show what he can do. If he has a 2022 year, cool. If he has a 2023 year, we have every reason at that point, Randy, to your point, to say, thanks, man. We really appreciate it, but it's a no. We're Randy Jackson, right? It's a no for me, don't worry. And so off he goes into the sunset, and we figure out a quarterback position from there. I do like the one person that was going to be a casualty of us picking a quarterback in the draft was going to be Tommy Cummings, right? And I do like the fact that's one of the reasons I like the fact that we got a wide receiver instead of taking the quarterback, because JC, to your point, the one thing he was virtually the only person out of the entire team last season that was able to give something to play for, able to light a spark, right? He was the one that pumped some life back into that team, right? We talk about grit. We talk about who are you playing for? What are you playing for? He was the guy that gave him life. And if he's able to kind of bring that along with him and still be that positive element for the team, I think he can do very well. I think he can. If he keeps showing what he's showing, it can be a pretty good competition for QB2, right? And it'll be very interesting to see what they're able to do.
And I also want to throw one other thing out there, too. The guy who this season, from a defensive perspective, I'm going to keep my eye on. I really want to see what Kayvon Thibodeau is going to be able to do this year. I really, last year it was the sophomore, let's see what he can do after a year under his belt. Now I think he's ready. He's going to break out this year. I really do feel that Kayvon's going to break out this year. I think
he had a good year. He had a good year last year, Randy.
Sophomore slump was 11.5 sacks or whatever.
I'm thinking of the word dominant. Because the reason why I think it's slowed down enough for him to fully get it, and I think he understands what he is capable of. The reports of how his attitude coming into OTAs and into minicamp this year is much different, obviously, than the last 2 years. He's not just this. He's not new to the system. I'm not. I'm still a sophomore in this whole thing. I'm still learning. Now he knows. He's still going to be learning. But now he's going to be really motivated because it's a lot of this is going to be not just on Dexter, not just on Burns, but it's also going to be on him too. He's in that conversation of the top three best defenders on this team. So I think he's going to raise up to the challenge because he's a very motivated guy. JC, I know you've spoken with him in the past. He's a very motivated guy, very articulate. If he doesn't understand something, he talks to these guys about it. And he wants to become a leader on this team. That was one of my last conversations with him last season, is he wants to build himself into a leader on this team. I think that he has all the tools to do it. And I think this is the year he breaks out to go to that next level.
I'm excited to see a guy who basically his first 3 years in the league, he was just decimated with injuries. And I think the addition of Brian Burns would help take some of that load off of Azeez Ojulari and possibly play. And look, I don't think he had a good year last year in terms of him actually playing and having a production, which the first couple of years he played and he was always hurt, I feel like. But whenever he played, his production was out the roof. Every single game that he's played, his production was out the roof. He was always getting to the quarterback, very limited number of snaps. And I think, him not being, a guy that they have to rely to play 70 to 80% of the snaps, with the addition of Burns, I think Kayvon playing 95% of the snaps, I think that number's cut down. I think Ojulari being that guy that they're relying on for 3 downs, I think that's cut down to relying to more of a pass rushing situation. And I think the fire is lit underneath Ojulari with the signing of Brian Burns, and you're going to get the best version of him that I think we've ever seen. I'm very hopeful for this. I think he's a great kid. And I've been the guy that's been ravished with injuries. I've seen it happen, guys early in their careers, and something like what happened to me. And I didn't really catch stride to year 5 or 6, and sometimes it happens that way. I think that's kind of what Azeez is gonna have. I expect him to be having, if he stays healthy the whole year, approaching double sacks with playing at about 20% of the snaps, which is lights out production, which is what I expect from him. Especially they're going to be doing things differently defensively than they have in the past. When you're a quarterback and you're going against a team, Wink Martindale's defense, right? You know that they're blitzing. You know there's going to be an extra rusher. You know that guy might be free. So as a quarterback, you're taught to get the ball out fast. When you have 4 down linemen and there's 7 in coverage back deep, usually the quarterbacks hold on to the ball a little bit longer. Now, if you have guys that can rush the passer, which the Giants do, that creates a lot of stress on the offense because they think they have more time. But if you have elite rushers, they really don't have more time because guys are getting beat one-on-one in a 4-man rush. I'm excited to see what the defense can do because all the things I talked about with Daniel Jones, this is another thing that can help him not, have to put the whole team on his back. What I feel like he did for most of 2022.
Yeah. It's going to be – go ahead.
No, go ahead. Please. No, you finish your point, please.
I was just going to say it's going to be very, very interesting to see what the second layer of that defensive line can do, right? I mean, if we've got one of the best – we have to have one of the best front fours in the league, right? I mean, you're talking Kayvon, Burns, and Sexy Dexy all in the middle. That's a crazy good offensive line. But those guys can't hold up the entire team the entire game, right? So what's Jordan Riley going to do? What's DJ Davidson going to do, right? Is Azeez going to be able to live up to some of that potential? He is. I mean, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, fellas, but he's in the final year of his rookie contract, yeah? And so there's an opportunity for him to get tagged if sign the 5th-year option if he plays well. And so he's going to be motivated to do that. He is going to, I think, if he can stay healthy and he can play in that kind of supporting role, it's going to be fantastic. But we finally got some pieces in there, right? I mean, Kayvon's not going to be in coverage as much. Burns isn't going to be in coverage as much. They're going to be able theoretically to pin their ears back and do what they're supposed to be able to do best, right? Burns is a rush the passer guy. Kayvon's a rush the passer kind of guy. So when you're able to get them to do the things that they are best at doing, I think there's going to be some pretty good stuff. I'm curious to see what's going to happen in the secondary as well. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that as well.
No 5th year for Ojulari because he wasn't a first-round draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So this is a huge year for him.
Year.
Huge year for sure.
JC, question for you from a player perspective. Is it a big deal when players are not in attendance for OTAs, or is it really not looked at as a big thing?
It depends. I feel like it's always good to have everybody there. It's always good to have the whole squad there. Everybody's, bought in, everybody's accountable. But, sometimes you have contractual stuff that needs to get figured out, which is, I'm always cool with people getting their money. That's why I have no problem Saquon leaving, even though I don't like that team down 95. I I'm a big fan of Saquon. I hate that he's playing for the Eagles, but I respect it, man. You don't know how long you got when you're playing in the NFL. It stands for not for long. So I know how this business works, and for me, look, I just want to see the Giants start fast. That's all I want to see. So I had a couple points I wanted to make in terms of, I guess, questions really to ask both of you guys in terms of on defense, because I think we kind of understand what we're going to see from the defense this year. I think we're going to see an improved defense with a couple of pieces that were added on. Of course, Burns, but also, signing Simmons again, having McFadden or Okerike's second year in the defense. Like you said earlier, Kayvon's third year. I'm looking at the cornerback position, and I'm trying to figure out who's corner number 2.
Yeah,
that was a question that I needed an answer to. Is it Flott? Is it McLeod? Is it, Aaron Robinson that we haven't seen in a while because he's been hurt his first few years of his career? I'm really trying to figure out who is cornerback number 2 come September.
I think right now it's by committee, to be honest with you. I think whoever's probably going to earn their spot's going to have to earn it in camp. That's my guess, because at this time, like you just said, you don't really have a real number 2 right now. They've gone through a lot of different changes, and also remember, this is no longer a Wink Martindale defense. This is a totally new system defensively. So everyone's learning together. Everyone's learning schemes together. So it's not like guys are trying to plug in like last year. This is now a whole different system. So everyone's learning the same at the same time. To answer your question, JC, I don't really have that answer. I don't have that answer who the number 2 is. I'm looking forward to watching the battle at camp to see who's going to earn it. Whoever it's going to be, though, is going to have to step up and play, because whoever's not making it is going to be very, very hungry. And I'm sorry, the reason why I asked you that question about not showing up for OTAs because I was going to transition into Darren Waller's retirement. And just because I think that for the fact that he had been missing, I know the team was giving him space to work through his things, and I get it and I understand it. But at that point in time, when you're heading into mandatory minicamp and he wasn't around, I think the writing was on the wall that he wasn't coming back.
If you guys remember, I said 6 months ago that he was going to be cut 10 days ago. I thought he was going to be a June 1st cut.
June 1st, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm I guess I'm not surprised that he's not playing one way or the other. I'm actually glad that we didn't have to cut him, that he just kind of retired on his own. I mean, I wish him well. I know that there's some personal struggles that are going on, as well as him not feeling like he can give his all and be fully dedicated to the team. But if that's the case, then he made the right decision for everybody involved. Sorry, JC, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Look, for me, Darren Waller was underwhelming last year, and for me, I play linebacker, so I study tight ends a lot. I had to guard those guys my entire career, guarding running backs, guarding tight ends. He was a little underwhelming last year. I think it was a little bit of a realization for him. And I think that's why he was contemplating, because I think he was just trying to figure out, do I give up my dream that I've had since I was 6, 7 years old? You know what I mean? Because that's what happens when you retire, man. This is something that you've been thinking about and dreaming about, at this point in his life for over 25 years, and it's really hard to do. So I feel some type of way for him. I want to, shout him out. I think he's an amazing person. He's been through his mental health issues in the past. I hope he's doing well. He's going through divorce right now. And, it's a rough time, man, trying to figure out, what your identity is after ball. So like I said, I want to reach out to him and extend my offer a hand to him. I've been through that, whole divorce from football deal. That's a lot on people, but with that being said, the Giants, have an opportunity to fill that void, and it doesn't have to be at the tight end position. They have a little bit of money on, in the bank that they can use. And I'm interested to see what Joe Shane and Daboll figure out, what they can bring in. And they don't have to do it now. I don't think they are going to do it now. I think they're going to wait possibly to a training camp, even maybe into the season, and possibly get somebody that's a free agent, or even possibly trade for somebody that may not be too content with their situation that they're in. And I'm interested to see what they do, because if you look at it, Darren Waller was a guy that they traded for. It didn't really pan out. Bobby Okereke did. And he panned out in a very high level,
good way,
causing a lot of turnovers, leading the league in tackles type of way. So I'm excited to see what they do with this newfound space that they have in terms of cap and in terms of roster space without Darren Waller.
Yep. Kind of tying the two together. I mean, they spent some of it just today or yesterday, I think, when they signed Trey Herndon, defensive back. And so, this is his 8th year in the league. He's no spring chicken, but I think he's definitely still got some. Come on, man! You ever talk before? He's still got some tread on the tires, and so honestly, he could be a veteran presence in that cornerbacks room, which is very young. I mean, to your point, JC, Cordell is in his 3rd year. Is that right, or 2nd year? No, it's his 3rd year. Yeah. And so going into it, I honestly, I think he and Herndon are going to be the ones that are battling it out for CB2, because what I have read, what I have heard is that, we've seen Cordell in the slot, and he wasn't quite as effective in the slot as he has been on the outside. And so if you're able to put him in a position where he's most effective, i.e. on the outside, on a wide receiver, something like that, then I think we're going to see better stuff out of him. But it's all predicated upon, all right, well, who else is going to play the slot then, right? Is Adoree still under contract? Is he still? I haven't heard.
No, he's a free agent.
He's a free agent. Okay,
yeah.
And so he's not being re-signed. He's on his own, UFA. Okay, so I mean, at the end of the day, I guess my question is, who's going to be the slot corner, right? Who's going to be that nickel corner? Because I mean, that's where Cordell's experience has been, and you want your most experienced guy in that position. But if he's better off in another spot, then that's where I'd like to see him. And it really is a matter of, all right, well, who's going to fill his shoes in the slot spot at that point?
Yeah, and not only that too, but you just mentioned Adoree. What I heard, that was as soon as that ended last season, it was over. It was. I don't want to. You guys don't want me back. I don't want to be back here. Let's just part ways and shake hands, and
That was that.
Yeah, that was
okay.
That.
Well, then we all move on, right?
Yeah.
we all move on. Forward.
JC, you mentioned the who was going to be number 2. What other questions did you have? You said you had multiple questions, so let's tackle those.
Well, I think I mentioned it. I talked about Darren Waller. I talked about the corners, seeing who is cornerback number 2, and then also Slayton. So I had a question. Did you guys? Because I know he showed up, but he was holding out for a second, but then he showed up. Did they actually work anything out contractually wise with Slayton?
I haven't heard anything along those lines.
No, I hadn't heard anything, but I think it's one of those good faith. I want to be here for the team type of deals, and we'll work out the details later on.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, he's on the 2nd year of that 2-year deal that paid him what, $12 million? Something like that.
I think with him, like right now, if you look at the depth chart with him, he's number 4. He's number 4 behind Neighbors, Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson, and then there's Slayton, and then there's also going to be some other receivers in camp too. So
Ford Wheaton's coming on too. I mean, there's other options. We're back to being a bit of a stacked receiver room. But
we had that stacked receiver room conversation last year too, and then
that's when we thought we were going to have an offensive line.
I can go back to the beginning of the season. We kept on saying how this wide receiver room is the most talented room that we've ever seen from this Giants.
And so here's the thing: it could have been, right? But there was no time. There was just no time. I'm one of these guys. I'm going to sing this song until the day I die. That last year I put on the shoulders of the offensive line. I think we had a terrible, terrible year because we couldn't protect anybody. Saquon Barkley, one of the more dynamic players in the league, managed to get 800 yards, something like that. So I mean, look, it was just a shit situation for anybody that was going to be back there. And the fact that we were able to win some games, I think we were able to win games in spite of the quality of our offensive line. So
I just don't want to have to call Chris Snee to come out of retirement to come onto
listen,
the field.
that's
Let me tell you something. He ain't no lineman no more. He looked more like a linebacker. I saw him the other day.
Did you?
He ain't moving nobody, bro. For real. Hey,
Jason,
well, I was about to say, go ahead. It'll come back to
no,
you.
it's funny you just said that because JC, I wanted to ask you because I wasn't able to make it, and we had some things that happened on my end. LPG and the softball game. Talk about the little family reunion you had with your brothers in arms there. What was that like?
Oh yeah, it was a lot of number 52s there. It was a lot of it was number 52s. It was myself, Carter Coughlin, Pepper Johnson,
Nice.
Rock. I think it was another guy there. It was at least 452. It was the most represented number out of everybody that was there. That was pretty awesome. Wandale Robinson is a fantastic baseball player. Oh my gosh.
Is he really?
He was in home run derby just smacking them out. I don't know how many he hit, double digits, I believe. Dodgeball was fun. I had to sit down after a game. Back was really tight right away, playing against them young boys. I had 2 at-bats. I hit a single, got on first base. The next batter up hit a double, and I just ran all the way home, fellas. I just ran. Hey, but only at 80%. Okay, I wasn't gonna turn up to 100. I only ran at 80, and then my next at bat, I got me a nice home run over the fence, fellas. Give me a nice home run over the fence. And I didn't play on the outfield. You know why I didn't play on the outfield? Because Brandon Jacobs was streaming the Usyk versus Fury fight in the dugout. So every time I hit, I ran back in the dugout. What's happening? What's going on right now? What's going on? So we were watching the fight in the dugout between innings. Well, I guess me between at bats. So it was a fun event. License plate guy is he's one of the truest, most realist, authentic fans, super fans that I've ever met in my life. He's definitely a homer. Never says a bad word about anybody that ever played for the Giants. He does it the right way, man. I think he's a great man. He's a great guy. He does this event for charity. They raise a lot of money. It's top tier. It's top quality type events. The jerseys was dope. The autograph sessions. He just does a real good job. A high class type of guy. A high class event. And I was able to mingle with some of the younger guys, mingle with some of the older guys, and it was definitely a great event.
And for those who've never been to a license plate guy charity softball game, first off, Brandon London is always a great host. He always does a good job emceeing all the events. Was it guys jumping in the stands, signing autographs, and being all over the place like it usually is?
It was fun, man. Everybody signed. When I first got there, the fans were kind of lined up upstairs behind like the outfield or whatever, the scoreboard, I believe. And, we got up to the reception area. I had to go get my little beverage first. You know what I mean? Got my little beverage and a sign in. And then I went over to sign some autographs, and the fans were great. I think the younger players, the guys that were there, they did a good job in interacting with the fans, and really providing, the community with a great event for charity, and how many events that are not hosted by the Giants that you're going to get that many Giants players at, so got to tip your hat. The license plate guy, I think he does a fantastic job.
Awesome stuff.
And the other thing that I always take away from his game is not only, like you said, it's for the charity, but it also, like I said, it's like a family reunion, you get to see these guys. The first year he did it, I think it was in 16. It was 2016. It was the first year, and Eli came down and
with Landon. Was that the first year?
Yeah,
he did it with Landon.
Yep, that was first year that Landon Collins hosted the first year, and Joe was floored that Eli came. He's like he had sent the feelers out, and then when Eli came wearing his blue powder blue golf shirt, and took one at bat, and then half ran down the field.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
but he just came over to us a bunch of times. He goes like, I can't believe Eli Manning came to my game. He goes, that's my quarterback right there.
Yeah.
So, but it's always good to see. I was really sad that I had ended up missing it. Obviously, life gets in the way, and we just have to roll with the punches with it. But next year, hopefully, and
So I met a guy who, of course, I know of because I'm not the biggest historian, but I pay attention to history and who played in New York before me and after me. I had a nice long conversation with Madison Hedgecox.
Wow.
Country ass.
Country
that
ass
dude is country as shit, boy.
He's a fullback. Man, I remember watching him play.
He's a huge human being, and he's a true farm boy. Like he was on the farm, he got all his kids running around and stuff. And I was talking to him about like coming up to the games like during the season. He's like, oh man, my wife never been to a game. I looked at him, I said, bro, come on, bro. You got to bring your wife to a game. Got to bring your wife up to a game. So I put his wife in contact with my Giants contact. So they can go ahead and because I think they offered to the Legends one game that they have tickets to, and Joanne Lamnick is the one that really heads the Legends stuff for the Giants. So I made sure that Joanne got in contact with them because the Giants are really a top tier organization. They really do a good job in taking care of their former players and at least having them an opportunity to come back, and share the experience with their families. And Madison just been missing out on it for I don't know for how long he's been retired. So I made sure that, hey man, I'm at all the games. I'm doing a radio show outside. Pull up on me when you come to one of these games. So it was interesting connecting with a person that I've never met. I've never met Madison before. I've met mostly all the other guys that were there and Rob Douglas. That was my first time meeting him. And, just meeting new guys. Y'all know me, man. I don't have a problem talking to anybody. So it was a good time, a great event. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. What else they have lined up, man?
That's awesome.
Well, it's funny too. You say that they always welcome everybody back. I remember one of the practices I went to last season. They welcomed Corey Webster back, and they retired. Like they gave him his little press conference, and everybody looked at us like we all looked around at each other like, Corey Webster's doing a press conference today. Okay, so we did when they started asking him the questions like, why now? He's like, well, he was just like, it feels like it's time he wants to try to give back. And then later that day at practice, you see him trying to go over to the practice field with his suit on, trying to tell these guys what to do and everything else like that. And everyone's like, you should listen to him. He's got a Super Bowl under his ring, under his belt, man. You should definitely listen to what he has to say. Guys, are you ready?
Next thing he ought to do is come on the Big Blue Report. I think that's the next thing in his career that needs to happen.
I wouldn't mind that. JC, are you ready for your trivia question this week?
Ooh, yeah, man. Let's do it, baby.
All right. So Ryan and I decided we are now 0-0. It's new season, new score.
New score. All right. We got to come up with a new wager, though. That's what that means. So be thinking about what I'm going to owe you when you beat me on this stuff.
Steak dinner, baby. Steak dinner.
Ooh.
All right. Here we go. You ready? Here comes the question on the board. Boom. Let's see. Do you guys know it? Tom Coughlin, the coach of the 2004 New York Giants, actually coached with the Giants under Bill Parcells. What position coach was he then? I know JC. I think knows it.
You gave us a hint just there.
All right. Ryan, you just don't want to take a guess?
I'll take a guess. I think he was the wide receivers coach.
JC?
I think he was on defense. Oh, gosh, I hope so. I think he was on defense. Nah, no way he was on defense. I think he was on defense, and I know Bill Belichick was coaching the linebackers. I know that. I'm going defensive backs.
JC, I'm very sorry, but Ryan got the answer correct. He was the wide receiver.
What a way to start the
Neither
season.
one of those sound right, but okay, cool.
Yeah. Winner, chicken dinner, ladies and gentlemen.
Love it.
Well, guys, So
if
now
if that smells a little bit, by the way, it's because I pulled it right out of my ass. So.
That was good. I never heard that one before.
I never heard that before too. If it smells a little bit, it just came right out of my head. That's why. All right, great. So gentlemen,
Oh, man.
so now, with mandatory mini camp winding down, we are now going to prepare for training camp, which is now the end of July. So we will be back on, guys. I know we have taken a long hiatus from this show. I know we have, like I said, life got in the way for all of us. We are going to be back before camp to preview, give you a full training camp preview, and on during camp. And we're going to try and get some guests on with us. And keep an eye on our Spotify page. Any interviews that I do during camp or before then will be up there. JC, if you're able to put some exclusive content up there, we'll get that too. Ryan will give us some professor droppings. Maybe we'll put it up there too. So you can.
Can we call them professor droppings?
We can call them professor droppings. That's what.
That mean that's only dope shit.
Yeah.
Listen, it wouldn't be the first thing he pulled out of his ass, apparently.
Oh man, it's hilarious.
So keep an eye on our Spotify page. We'll have all this exclusive content up there. We're gonna get all three of us individually and as well as together, some new fresh content for you up on all of our platforms on the Big Blue Report, featuring that guy, the two-time Super Bowl champion, former defensive captain and Giants legend. And you know what? He's a damn good pre and post game host as well, Jonathan Casillas.
Thank you, sir.
The professor himself, Ryan Darlington, and I'm, of course, Randy Zellea with Back Sports Page. And guys, Big Blue Report comes to an end this week, but we will be back before training camp with a full training camp preview to get you ready for the 2024 New York Football Giants. The one question we have to ask JC is, did you ask for your own jersey of the blue and red retro jerseys?
Yeah, we didn't talk about retro.
You got to get those legacy jerseys with a 52 on it, baby. Yeah.
I'm a memo that. I'm gonna go ahead and put that up as a memo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a little things to do. It's a little things to do list.
I forgot to ask about that. Oh no, must have got lost in the mail.
Yeah. I'm about to say, Eli got one. I'm just
you gotta wear it. We'll see.
Yeah, well, you might have to. With that being said, guys, we will see you guys the next episode of the Big Blue Report. Probably be about 2 weeks. Until then, gentlemen, check us out on all of our platforms. We'll see you there.